So recently we've seen a lot of crazy one-shot builds using pistols, using rifles, yes, and even using those Marksman rifles. So in this video, what I'm gonna do here is I will be showing you 3 different builds that can one-shot enemies on heroic. So those named, those gold, you can just run through these control points. You can just farm gear, farm whatever you want really fast and efficient. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna dive into one of the hardest hitting out of the 3, the Marksman rifle version of this build. So let's get into it. So first things first, we are running the sharpshooter specialization. Obviously, if you're gonna run a sniper rifle, this is the build. And if you notice, the skill I was using is tied to this specialization, so another bonus for you guys to use it. So for the weapon, we have the White Death. Now the White Death has 1.2 million damage. Now we have 10% expertise on here, so we're getting that 10% weapon damage. I will say we can still get another 10% and improve the amount of damage we're doing. We have 15% marksman rifle damage, 137% headshot damage, and 10% damage to targets out of cover. Now, one thing you need to remember is the 137% headshot damage that is tied to this named rifle. Now, we have the talent determined. After killing an enemy, a headshot on the next shot landed on any enemy will be a guaranteed headshot. And that's what's cool about it. Now, what's even crazier is if you're tying this with a chest piece talent like Headhunter, it continues to proc determined as it considers that headshot on the chest a headshot, so it just constantly just keeps going and going. It's pretty crazy. So for the scope, we're running 45% headshot damage scope that's tied to the sharpshooter specialization, 5% weapon damage on the magazine, and 5% crit chance on the underbarrel. For our secondary, I personally like having the Scorpio, especially if you ever get a rusher that you can't finish off. You can swap to this, it'll stop them in their tracks. You don't have to worry about too much, and it still has 1 million damage. And then because of the talent, you're pretty good at making them stop. You can either shock them, disorient them, a lot of things you're gonna be doing with this. So it's gonna be very easy for you guys to get out of those pretty sticky situations. For the mask, we're running the hot shot mask. So we got a 4-piece and we have 30% marksman rifle damage, 30% handling, 30% headshot damage. And then we have the 4-piece, which it was called Headache. First headshot with the marksman rifle will increase the next headshot by 20%. Second consecutive headshot with the marksman rifle will give you 10% armor. If at full armor, it will give a bonus armor max of 50% of the current armor value. And then the third consecutive would refill the magazine. Now from the 4th headshot forward, agents will get all 3 bonuses for each consecutive headshot kill. Missing a headshot will reset the cycle. So very cool gear set. I think this is actually gonna replace those aces and 8s or even tip of the spear sets that you might have used in the past for your sniper builds. You have this right here and it does just as good or even better. Now we have weapon damage on here, and then we have headshot damage and then headshot damage mod. For the chest, we're running chain killer chest for the 5% weapon damage. The weapon damage on here, the headshot damage, we have weapon handling. If you would like, you guys can put critical hit chance. Remember, weapon handling is very good, especially on rifles and weapons like that. So for me, I actually like the weapon handling. But if you guys feel like you don't need it, you can stack a little bit of crit chance on here. And then you have 10% headshot damage as your mod. Now, Perfect Headhunter, a lot of you guys probably know by now, after killing an enemy with the headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals additional 150% of that killing blow's damage. Now, the damage is capped at 800%, but you can actually raise that to 1250 if your headshot damage is greater than 150%, which we do. So ideally, chain killer is great for sniper builds, and since determine counts the body shot as a headshot, it just procs both of them for some reason, and holy, it's amazing. For the holster, we have our 2nd piece of hot shot, and remember, this gives us weapon damage and then headshot damage rolled on here. So ideally, that's what you're gonna wanna go for all your pieces. Our 3rd piece of hot shot are the knee pads, weapon damage, and headshot damage. Our gloves are our 4th and final piece of hot shot, and then that's gonna be weapon damage and headshot damage. And then for the backpack, we have the Raleigh backpack, which gives us 10% marksman rifle damage, 15% weapon damage. We have 10% headshot damage on here. We have 6% crit chance, and then we have 10% headshot damage mod. Like I said, if you want to put weapon handling instead of the crit chance, you can, or if you want to leave the crit chance, you can do that too. Now, it increases total weapon damage by 25% because we have vigilance on here. So that's another reason why we're hitting a little bit harder than you might have seen on my ninja bike one. I like both of them, honestly, to be honest. I actually like the ninja bike one because I still hit pretty hard. I have a little bit more survivability, but this one, holy, if you want a straight sniper build, this is going to be it. You guys saw I was running the tactician drone, and this is technically a pulse that sits above, will last the whole time pretty much here in the battle, 387 seconds. As long as you put it in the middle of the field, it goes up to the top, it will scan all the enemies for you, and you can constantly just move it around. And then obviously you guys might have noticed I have a decoy. I think that's great for sniper build, so ideally those are the two that you guys want. Now if we go to the stats, you guys are gonna notice right off the bat we have 20% crit chance. This could be 26% if you add the extra 6% on the piece that I had rolled. 40% crit damage, 337% headshot damage. That's why this thing just slaps. And then that's the build, guys. So now that we saw the Marksman rifle, let's dive right into the rifles itself. So here we go. We have a rifle version of that build, and I think a lot of you guys probably will enjoy this one. So what we'll do is we'll dive into it and let you guys enjoy. But as you guys see in the gameplay, it works. So you might have guessed it, we are running the sharpshooter specialization, not only for the TAC 50, but this specialization just works great with rifles and marksman rifles. And for the weapon, we're using the 1886. And I want to admit, I've never really used this weapon besides this because you can't put a scope on it, you can't put a muzzle on it. There's just not a lot you can actually do to this. So for me, there just wasn't really anything I ever wanted to use this for, but it does have a lot of base damage that's very strong. But on this build, with everything set up, we have 857,000 total damage, 5 rounds in the magazine. Now it has rifle damage, critical hit damage, and then I got one with damage to armor. If you can get one with damage to targets out of cover, either way will work, but you do need one of those because you need that multiplicative damage. Now I'll tell you, I was farming for a while, and to get one with damage to armor or damage to targets out of cover was very, very hard. I ended up getting one with damage to armor. The build worked the way I wanted, but I haven't been able to test it with damage to targets out of cover, so you can use either one, and I'm pretty sure it should work just fine. Now, for the talent, we decided to roll Determined on there. So the reason why you want to make sure it has rifle damage, critical damage, damage to armor, and then obviously, or damage to targets out of cover, is because you want to make sure that you're able to roll the talent Determined, and Determined is what's going to allow you to constantly one-shot those enemies, right? And remember, when Determined does change, you have to hit headshot, body shot, headshot. Right now, you hit headshot, body shot, body shot, body shot, body shot, as you guys are seeing in the gameplay. Now, for your secondary, you can run whatever you want. Let's get into the build. So we are running a tip of the spear 4-piece. What this does is it gives us 10% signature weapon damage. 10% weapon damage is what we really want because it pairs great with all of our talents. And then the 4-piece also dealing damage with a signature weapon, that's why you want the TAC 50, will increase weapon damage by 20% for 60 seconds. So for those 60 seconds, you have an additional 20% weapon damage. So that's from the 4-piece, you're technically getting 30% weapon damage, and that works great with Headhunter because the way the talent is worded. For the core attributes, we're running weapon damage, headshot damage, and then a headshot damage mod. Now for the chest piece, we're running the Chain Killer. Obviously, we're running a 2-piece Walker and Harris, so that's gonna give us 5% weapon damage, 5% damage to armor. So you can see in total right now we have 10% damage to armor. We could have 11% if we get that 1% more on the weapon itself. We have weapon damage on here, headshot damage, critical hit chance. Now, obviously you want to put critical hit chance on 2 spots you get. Reason why is because the weapon base has critical hit damage, and then we have headshot damage mod here. Now if you don't want to run crit chance because you're not worried about hitting those crits, put weapon handling and you'll be okay there. And Chain Killer comes with perfect Headhunter. For our second piece of tip of the spear, we have the holster, and obviously we're going to be rolling weapon damage and headshot damage on all the pieces. Same thing with the knee pads. Another tip of the spear, we have weapon damage, headshot damage. We can increase the damage by 2.6%, so we can increase the weapon damage on this build still. We go through, you see for the gloves, another piece, our final 4th piece of tip of the spear, which unlocks the 4-piece, weapon damage, headshot damage. And then we have our second piece of Walker and Harris. This is gonna give us that 2-piece unlock of 5% damage to armor. We have weapon damage on here, headshot damage, critical damage, headshot damage, and then we have vigilance. Remember, it increases total weapon damage by 25%, but when we do take damage, it disables this for 4 seconds. Now, I will tell you, if you happen to have the gear set active but not vigilance, you'll still be able to one-shot those enemies, and vice versa. Where it gets, where you might not every time, is if you take damage or you don't have that green gear set active, well, that's where those named enemies might not be one shot, but everybody else, so you guys seeing here, boom, boom. Oh, see, didn't have the green gear set, didn't have vigilant active, so reason why, but look, one shot him right here with the TAC 50 in the head, and the other guy died immediately from the NPCs. So if you head over here, we take a look at our stats, right? We currently have 856,000 weapon damage. We have 16% crit chance, and that's why I say you can improve it if you switch that crit damage for crit chance. We have 68% crit damage. We have 190% headshot damage, and then look at the multiplicative damage of 10% armor damage. And that is the build right there, as you guys saw, very impressive. And what we'll do now is we are gonna be diving into probably the one you guys might have wanna seen first, the pistol version of this build. Yes, we are running a Desert Eagle, and if you guys haven't seen this build yet, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So remember, we did showcase two builds already, the Marksman rifle version, the rifle version, and here it is, the Desert Eagle pistol build version of it. So let's get into it. So first off, guys, we are running the specialization, the technician. The reason why I'm doing this is because it does give me one skill tier towards my skills, and while it doesn't seem like a lot since I am using the Bulwark Shield, it does help out. Now, if you guys would like to go with the gunner class, you guys can, and that's just going to give you a bigger chunk of armor on kill once you guys see what build I was running, if you guys haven't guessed it already. So what really makes this build work is this pistol right here. So I decided to go with the Desert Eagle, right? So we got the D50 here. We have 7% weapon damage from the expertise. We have 15% pistol damage, 10% headshot damage, and then we have that new talent, Determined. Now this doesn't come on it doesn't come on shotguns, but it does come on the snipers, the pistols. So we have Determined on here. It says after killing an enemy with the headshot, your next shot landed on any enemy will be a guaranteed headshot, and we can continue to practice over and over. I will tell you, if you feel like your symbol Determined isn't proccing, make sure you just swap the gun and then swap back, and then it will work. And that's what I've been doing. Now I just have, for the optics, I put the 5% headshot damage on there. Yes, we are running Hunter's Fury. You guys might say, why are you running Hunter's Fury? There's no pistol bonuses here. But the way Apex Predator works, this allows for those one shots. And what's even better is we will get some armor on kill. So the 2-piece is giving us shotgun damage, SMG damage, which we don't need. But the 3-piece actually gives us 20% armor on kill, 100% health damage. And that's why I said, if you guys want to run the gunner class, you can, and then you'll get 30% armor on kill. Now, Apex Predator is why we're able to one-shot. Enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, and it amplifies our damage against that enemy by 20%. Now, when we kill the debuffed enemy with your weapon, it disorients other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds. So that means we can stack this up to 5 times. So that's 25% extra damage on here. So not only do we have the 20% amplified weapon damage with Apex Predator once we're within that 15 meters, but we're also gaining an additional 25% once we keep that. So once we hit a control point, you'll notice that we always had to stack up. And that's why we're able to one-shot those enemies. We have weapon damage on here, we have headshot damage, and then we have a headshot damage mod. For the chest piece, we went with the Chain Killer. Now what the Chain Killer does is it gives us weapon damage, and then we have a 2-piece, so we're getting 5% damage to armor. Now we have weapon damage on here, we have headshot damage, we have weapon handling, and I honestly prefer it instead of crit chance because the Desert Eagle is a little bit harder to control. But once you get that first headshot, you get it going, you just have to hit the body, right? So it's easy just to aim, point, shoot, boom, and it's over. So we have 10% headshot damage mod on here, and we have Perfect Headhunter. After killing an enemy with the headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of that killing blow's damage. Damage is capped to 800%, but remember this is raised to 1,250 if we have headshot damage above 150%, which we will. For our second piece of Hunter's Fury, we have the holster, weapon damage, and headshot damage, obviously. For our third piece of Hunter's Fury, we have it on the knee pads with weapon damage, headshot damage. For the gloves, we have weapon damage, headshot damage, Hunter's Fury again, and that's the fourth and final piece. And for our backpack, we have our second piece of Walker and Harris that's allowing us to get that 5% damage to armor. We have weapon damage on here, we have headshot damage, we have critical hit damage, which you could probably put critical hit chance or weapon handling, ideally, because the D50 is definitely very hard to control. And then we have 10% headshot damage mod. Now we have vigilance, increased total weapon damage by 25%, taking damage disables as a buff. But since we are running the Bulwark Shield, that allows us to hopefully keep this buff up as much as possible and obviously get the Hunter's Fury going at the same time. If you notice, we have the Bulwark Shield. So the Bulwark Shield is tier 1, so it gives us a little bit better shield health, 67% exactly. So we're at 4.6 million. And then I pair that up with the decoy. I think the decoy is really good for those builds, like sniper builds. Like if you want to throw it out, it definitely helps. You can run whatever you guys want. I've been using the decoy since I've been sniping a lot, and I actually like it a lot. Especially you throw it to the side, the enemies focus on it, you get that first headshot, and then it's pretty much over. So for me, it works pretty good, but you can run whatever you guys want. If we go take a look at the stats, we're gonna put the pistol on. You'll notice we have 10% crit chance, 55% crit damage, but what really makes the build shine is the 225% headshot damage with 5% armor damage. So that is really what's fueling this build, that is actually just destroying. And I was actually showing one of my friends, we were doing control point, not a control point, just regular convoys, and holy, it was doing the same thing. Now, one thing you need to remember is if you get against those tankier enemies that have helmets, right, like or shield, those guys might not be able to get one shot. So that's where you do need to just remember that you may need to hit them once, it's gonna break that helmet, and then hit them again and finish them off, or just tap them a couple times and then continue on. So, but overall, this thing is pretty good. This talent, Determined, I don't know what's going on with it, but it's been the best thing that's happened since season 11, and I'm glad that it's in the game. Hopefully they don't change it too much, if they do change it at all. But yeah, this is the build right here, guys. If you guys have any questions, hey, let me know. Hey, Determined, man, start farming for those. Recommend, if you don't have this talent on either of your sniper rifles or your pistols, head over to Countdown, put pistols on, keep farming till you get it. Same thing with snipers, keep doing it till you get it, and you guys will thank me later. It's pretty cool talent, and I'm just excited that there are different ways that you guys can run this build right here with this without having to run some of the more popular exotics like the Regulus. So we'll wrap it up here, guys. Hey, appreciate the support, appreciate the love. See you guys in the next one. Hey, nothing but skills out.